Hey, what's up everyone? This is Jammer's GRIME Chronicles Part 2. If you haven't watched number 1 yet, pause this video, go check it out. It's going to give you a lot of context and share some of those pioneering steps that Jammer took creating the foundations of grime that are sometimes overlooked. With these foundations in place, Jammer was one of a small group of people who could see the bigger picture, and he was about to change the scene forever. As I mentioned in part 1, Jammer's parents ran Elrics, working closely with the local community. This same sentiment, community ethos, would follow into Jammer's musical endeavours. With knife crime on the rise and youth centres on the decline, Jammer's parents, seeing his vision, would allow him to open their basement doors to his peers, creating their own community centre of sorts, a safe haven away from the streets.
Oh my Diddy!
This would prove to be a game-changing decision. Pirate radio was thriving, the subculture bubbling, yet many of the aspiring artists didn't have the money to access studio facilities, and certainly not one that understood the sonics of what was emerging. Rapidly, his parents' basement became the studio, a place to network with like-minded visionaries, a melting pot for talent. Wiley, Kano, DEE, Gets, Skepta, JAMMER, Roll Deep, Rough Squad, Nasty Crew, everybody recorded there. There was such a buzz around the studio that DJs would turn up to Jammer's parents' house before a set to get hold of exclusive dubs. If it was a banger, it likely came from the basement.
We was both 18 and we had a plan. 2003 round jammers. So many balls in their heads up that I made 2 albums a week around jammers. Listen to Lord of the next part 2 and then you'll know about bangers.
At this stage, whilst thriving, grime was still very local, and although the sound itself had a darker, grimier edge, it was undeniably having a positive impact on the community involved. Having grown up listening to Bob Marley, Tupac, Peter Tosh and Lee Scratch Perry, Jammer was wholly aware of the power of music, and he wanted to spread the message. What we're doing here can help you too, utilising the emerging sound to bridge the divide across the London boroughs.
I would go to South London with my CD. You wasn't allowed there at that time, you could die. Seriously, it was turf war. But I'd go there, I got my music, I'd go to the club. And Gigs, I don't know if you might have heard of Gigs, he's a quite renowned rapper here now. And he told me one of the first times he ever saw me was outside Caesars in South London. And I went there, I was in a group called Nasty Crew, which are like prolific early pioneers of the scene. And we was there spreading music, and he said, I'll never forget it. It's like, that's the first time I saw somebody as brazen and brave to just cross the border with no one and not fear anything, because I was there to spread a positive message.
As the sound began to spread across London, Jammer's studio continued to grow in reputation. For a long time, he'd been recording on his handheld cam the basement sessions, the banter with his friends and the development of the scene, but this was just for personal documentation. However, this would trigger one of grime's pivotal turning points. Forming Hothead Promotions alongside business partner Ratty, Jammer would take the pioneering step to, for the first time, actively document the culture's development for an audience. It cannot be overstated just how much this revolutionised the scene. It was a game changer. In an age before YouTube, before streaming, before grime was even really accepted on TV, and when the internet was still in its infancy, most followers of the culture had only ever heard their favourite MC or DJ. Lord of the Decks DVDs would for the first time show you them. Not just their music, their character, their personality, their image, where they are from. Interviewing aspiring artists, recording freestyles, following them on the streets, in the studio, it was all in. People can now get a sense of what it meant to be a grime MC and relate at a much deeper level.
Hello? Lord of the Decks, big up, Lord of the Decks. What are you using down here? Using the G4?
Yeah, I got Pro Tools, a jacket. I got G4, and I got a little module there. I got an X module at home. I got the Focus Rack.
With Lord of the Decks and later Lord of the Mics, artists were for the first time recognised on the streets, and not just in their local communities, across London, across the country. The developing scene was changed forever, becoming much more accessible and reaching a whole new audience that they had never had before, beyond the ravers and pirate radio listeners that had always supported them. Feeling the momentum, Jammer's Hothead Promotions could see the scene as one collective team of pioneers was ready to go international.
Hothead Promotional.
Yeah.
Grime,
K.A.
Grime's like a music that originated in London. It's like a break off from garage, really. It's just like a new scene. So it's just a variation of a lot of different types of music and all influences put together in one.
Bashman.
So they call it grime. It's not like an official name on it.
Lord of the Decks had steamrolled grime into the 21st century, but Lord of the Mics brought it back to its roots, the essence of grime, the confrontation, conflict, the clash. Outside of the subculture, the layman had misread the energy drawn from clashes, associating it with the rise in knife crime. But in reality, for the most part, clashes enable disagreements and conflicts to remain strictly musical. So why not prove it? For JAMMER, it was clear. Conflict grabs attention. The proof is in the pirate radio sets. The most talked about sets were clashes.
Listen to me, just that rock. Kissing Bashy, burn that rock. She can't over know that rock. Dedication we show was a grade of the shoes. Everybody was a strap, everybody was a gap, no one's a get shot.
JAMMER's Lord of the Mics would revolutionise what it meant to clash, for the first time providing a platform for artists to showcase their skills for mutual benefit. Lord of the Mics' impact truly reaches Hall of Fame status. It was completely unbiased, showcasing veteran MCs alongside up-and-comers and encouraging a whole new generation of MCs. Prior to Lord of the Mics, artists had to hope to be picked up by a label, which due to the growing stigma in the media was becoming impossible. Now, by getting on Lord of the Mics, you could establish a national or international following without a record label, going on a run of shows after a successful performance. For the first time, the power was in the hands of the artist. There's too many clashes to list, and so many of the top stars within the scene have come up through Lord of the Mics. But here is my top 5. In at 5, I've got Lady Likes vs Socks, Lord of the Mics 7. This is really showcasing the integrity of the brand, showing that after 10 years deep, they're still breaking new ground with the first ever male versus female clash.
You didn't put your £5 munch out because you got caught trying to steal up a core. No MC too close to my face cause your breath smells like you just eating a cormat. I was like, wherever I saw you before, you were whore. Oh yeah, it was there on the corner.
Yeah, is it? You're nervous, that's why you want to fidget. You got nominated for the Mobiles, but they made you pay for it.
P Money and Big H, Lord of the Mics 6, testing out a new format, bringing the clash to an audience, and P Money's energy and clarity is just unmatched.
Rifle, I'm gonna squeeze. I'm not afraid, but everyone. If you know the looting, which kind of bad man got jail for looting? We're no AK, we're no shooting. It's on the TV, blood, that's stupid. All this talk about you make money. What the hell you doing sitting from Paris? I don't want to hear about Asian Gully, Asian the Fussy, Asian Bummy.
3, Demon and Bashy, Lord of the Mics 2. This has always been one of my favourites. Bashy's nonchalant delivery is executed so perfectly that Demon admits defeat on the spot.
You can get reload. You don't want to bring arms out, that's a reload. When I say the gash limit, I get a reload. Reborn bust that year, that's a reload. Suck your mum, Bashy, I get reloads.
Let's play a game called Ridiculous. That chat there, that was ridiculous. Repeating bars there are ridiculous. Demon, don't say them, they're ridiculous. Bashy's never been ridiculous.
2, Skepta and Devilman, also from Lord of the Mics 2. Not only was this a great clash, but it also provided a voice to the growing scene outside of London for the first time. With Devilman hailing from Birmingham, it showed that the pioneers within the scene had their ears to the street and not just in London. This created a surge of new MCs across the country.
You're Bangladeshian, you're not steady. The Ethiopian exclusive MC better keep bullshit in your belly. Yeah, it says
Skepta, I'm not scared of the evil element ain't in the mafia. Not a tiger me, I want some carrier. Devilman wouldn't even jump over the train barrier. So I'm gonna be a bad man when he was with about 25.
And we're going to finish off JAMMER's GRIME CHRONICLES Part 2 with the only clash we could have at number 1, Wiley and Kano, Lord of the Mics 1, the catalyst that triggered them all. The story behind this really deserves its own video, with Wiley fresh off the plane from America and Kano, the biggest up-and-comer in the scene at the time, going head to head. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Peace.
If you stay ahead of me, cock, come back, be prepared, just know that. I ain't scared, just know that. I'll bust through the little holes in the creps, where your toes at, sing a little holes, mind the step. I hold that, once I start, I can't hold back. Who's gonna hold me back once I start? You crazy? I'll shut you up with a dum-dum, you baby. Sing rockabye, baby.
K-A-N ain't shotting no O's. K-A-N can't roll with the pros. K-A-N can't bust on the show. K-A-N ain't ready for the pros. K-A-N ain't watch no O's. K-A-N ain't shotting no O's. K-A-N can't flow with the pros. K-A-N ain't ready for the flows, but it's Wiley, I'm getting it.